Hello, my fair fighters. Well, I'm just sitting here on my couch. You see, I'm in my pajamas. And I'm just coming live because I have some things I want to talk about. And a lot of questions surrounding our son, America's son, Nolan Wells. The questions that I have are pertaining to the things that I'm seeing. So, my first question is where's the boat? Now, before I start, everyone is innocent until proven guilty. So, this is my perspective. This is my opinion. Okay? So, first and foremost, I would like to know where's the boat? That's very, very important. And the reason why I want to know where the boat is because once the authorities got involved and once they started saying, like, okay, we want to see the boat, I guess, then all of a sudden the boat was damaged, allegedly, and put in the shop. And they said allegedly that it was a bunch of them standing on it and started taking on water, and so they had to put it in the shop. I think for me, in my opinion, that boat is a key piece to what has happened to Nolan. And let me tell you why I say that. I believe, in my opinion, that he was alive, like they said, but then he was unalived. And then he was brought back to the island. My theory is that they changed his clothes. Okay. My theory is that that boat holds a lot more evidence than people think it does. So what happens when you start moving things around, right? So if he was if he was at the beach and then they moved him to the beach or they moved him away from the beach, there, to me, will be different grains of sand where they can test to see if those grains of sand match from the spot where he was actually, found. So I excuse me, where he was actually found. So that's my theory. But let's get a little deeper, like CSI. Okay, deep. Now, we have so much technology, so much going on with DNA, so much going on to that. If someone touches something that belongs to someone else, they can find out who touched it, when they touched it, even if the person tries to wipe it off. CSI is there to make sure that they can bring back that kind of evidence, right? So I need my thing is, we us fair fighters, we want to see the boat. We want them to take whatever sand they can find, rip that boat apart, do whatever they need to do. Take whatever sand that they need to find, right? And take whatever sand that they need to find, and we want them to look at it, because if he had sand on him when he was first there, it's not going to be the same sand, in my opinion, when his body was laid there. It's two different places of him. And also, I just want to know, like, where is all of the, to me, I know they're focused on the phone because I believe they know that the boat is the smoking gun. But I think they're focused on the phone because that's more concrete, because his mother can see what was deleted and what was not deleted. But I think once they get what they need to get, they are going to talk about that boat. They're trying to, for me, in my opinion, they're trying to establish a timeline, right? So if they're saying he was on that island, right, and then he left, and then he was at some party, then there should be some sand somewhere. This is my opinion. But let's talk about the algae and currents, because that is so important. Let me explain something to y'all. Let me say something to y'all. Do not come on my channel if you're going to be disrespectful. We are here. Hello, everyone. We're here as the fear fighters to give our perspective on what is going on with Nolan. Okay? And I want you guys to hear me out because it is very, very important. Okay? But we're going to talk about facts. We're not going by hearsay. We're not going by online stuff. We're going by what the family is saying. So there's a few things we said we were going to talk about. We were going to talk about sand. Sand is very important. People may think it's not important, but different grains of sand, if they moved him from here to there, different grains of sand. Then we want to talk about the current. So that's another thing nobody's talking about. But I did hear Al Sharpton say if he was left on a certain day, then the current would have washed him up the next day. So it looks like he was placed there. He was brought back in that boat, to me, in my opinion. And that's why I believe the boat broke down. Then he was brought back to the island. This is all speculation. This is just my opinion. No one's told me this. But I want y'all to just rock with me for a minute because I want you to hear what I got to say. Current. This is how they will know. Either the current is washing up or the current is washing down in this case. And if he went in the water the day that they said he went in the water, he would have washed up the next day. But that wasn't the case. So, what is our takeaway? Because we're not going to be on here long. We just had some questions. Our takeaway is we want to see the boat. We want to know what kind of sand was in the boat. We want to know when the sand and who was in the boat. Because there should be different grains. And then let's talk about other evidence. You go out with your friends. See, when we were growing up, we were told stick together. No one leaves each other. If one go, we all go. If one stay, we all stay. That's the way I raise my kids to this day. Okay? You got to know who you with. You got to know you gotta know who you with. You gotta know who your friends are. Hello, everyone that's coming in. You gotta know who your friends are, right? So he went out, supposedly, this is what they're saying, with some of the best of his friends. But let's take it back a moment. This is what they used to call, when I was growing up, jocks. I don't know if they call them that anymore. Maybe I'm telling my age. But they used to call them jocks. These are high-performing athletes that go to school. And their parents, it's like they call them like the golden ticket. Their parents, push them and get them everything they need. They're sponsors on the team and etc. And in my heart, I believe that this guy was going to do big things, Nolan. And God bless his soul. I also believe that they were jealous of him, which I don't understand, because everybody was going to different schools, achieving different scholarships. So that party should have been about celebration. That party should have been about encouraging each other and just, celebrating the fact that they all graduating, they all going to college, right? So that's what that should have been about. But it didn't stay that way, right? Because look at where we are in God. And, I want to say this to everybody. They have my deepest condolences, they have my prayers, but it was just some things that needed to be said. You hear me? I just think that it was a major cover up. I believe that those kids are not clever enough to do the things that is being said that was done. I believe that if anything, any charges are brought forward, or if the grand jury indicts, I believe that they should bring up the parents on charges as well, because it was a massive cover up. There's no way those kids were drunk, from what I understand, belligerent and high. So there's no way they could have thought of getting the bowl, laying the bot, all of these things. That was some adult helping them. And what I'm trying to say is that you got to be careful who you let your children go around with. You just have to. Everybody doesn't believe that, because you think you know somebody and you think you know somebody's family until something bad happens, and then you don't know them anymore. Let me give you an example. Everybody's entitled to due process, right? Meaning, when he went missing, someone should have called the police immediately. That's giving him his due process. When he went missing, the right and proper steps should have been taken. Like, where's his phone? Who was he with? All of these things should have been taken into consideration, but it wasn't. And the only reason why we found out the very thing happened was because of the media coverage. Because I don't know if you know, I don't know if you are aware that there's another young man that just went through this. It's been all over the news. And God bless his soul. And his family's going through it right now. Because it took them 3 months to pick these guys up. And they were doing some type of game where they throw your phone, your keys, everything into the water. And they say, go get it, N-word, go get it, N-word. And this kid actually went in after his stuff, and he's not here anymore. And that case was swept under the rug, but now it's getting some publicity, thank God. And this family, is going to be able to get, hopefully, the justice that they need. What I want everyone to take from here before we get off of here is that everybody is innocent until proven guilty. Everybody is due to have their due process. That's what's happening for the Nolan's family. They have questions, unanswered questions that need answers, because you just cannot let this go. You can't just say, oh my God, they were all kids and they were having a good time. And here's the thing. Accidents do happen, right? But why hide it if it was an accident? If you made a mistake, you come forward, you call the proper authorities, and you let somebody know what's going on. But you don't do what we all believe that they did. You don't cover it up. But I suspect the reason why they did that is, like I was talking about jocks. They did not want to mess up their children's future. And they chose their children over this young man. So we just been praying over here at Fair Fighters. We've been praying over here on my other apps, just asking someone to come forward with something. We're praying that they look into the current, how his body washed up. They look in his lungs, how long he was in the water, and if any of it reached his stomach. They look at what he ate, what was in his stomach at the time when he was found, and that could possibly determine how long he had been unalive, expired. So that's what we want. And then we also want to look at the algae. We want to look at what type of substances, or like the algae, the green stuff, was it in his hair? Was it on his clothes? Was it in his mouth? These are some of the things that you have to look at, okay? But I see somebody said something. When the media, well, I mean, your point is a point. But do I believe that? No. I think that they have the right to get due process done. I think they have the right to, as parents, to ask questions. If this was an accident, or if this was cut and dry, then yeah, let's move on. But it's just too much circumstances, it's too much situation that has been occurring. Everybody coming out with these fake, posts, and deleting messages and coming forward. But what is so I'm gonna leave y'all with this. What's so mind boggling to me is, where was these people when he went missing? I want y'all to stay with that. But the most important thing is, I want you to pray for the family. Pray for Ben Crump, Al Sharpton, any and everybody that is trying to bring this case and get it, the media and the information that is needed for it to come out correctly. Whether you like these guys or not. Because prior to them, we didn't even know a Nolan Wells. Meaning, they knew a Nolan Wells. He was somebody in his community. He was, a brother, a son, a uncle, or, he was somebody in his community. But we did not know him as America in the way we know him now. So he's considered America's son to me, because all of us want the same outcome, for the family to get justice, for the family to get the answers for his. Let me tell you something. His mom and his father deserves that much. They deserve that much. Whether people don't like it a lot or not, and whether this whole situation, this world is divided on it, and everybody coming forth, letting that hate out, letting it out, like, saying how they really feel. And that's okay too, because this is an emotional time. This is a serious time. But we need to have some empathy. If you can't have the sympathy because you ain't ever been through it, have some empathy, and not be so insensitive, and be kind with this family, because when things come out, we're going to all have more to say. So remember, you can drop your prayer requests for you and your family on my page, and we're going to keep lifting up the family. Between all my applications, everybody is standing with Fair Fighters. We got almost 100,000 people praying. And I know we could do better than that. I'm looking for 1 million, and we're going to keep praying, and we're going to keep pressing to the higher mark, which is Christ Jesus. And we're going to keep just asking God to reveal, to send forth the help. But then at the same time, we're going to ask him to cover all our children all over the world, because that's all the conversation we should be having. How do we make sure that his family gets what they need? And then how do we make sure that this doesn't happen to no more kids? So y'all think about that. I love you. I thank you for stopping by. And hello to everyone that came in and left. And we'll pick up when we get more information, right? All right, Fair Fighters. Bye.